day at the murder scene.
We need you to leave, says the officer. This is Brent Cross shopping centre, early evening yesterday. Today, the whole site off limits. Bar investigators, forensics heading in as police come out.
I said I can't comment too much on that right now because it's obviously still an ongoing investigation.
Saeeda Durrani was there. She'll be giving her testimony to the police.
Yeah. I'd like to give them, my whatever little bit I saw, I would like to give them that information. What I saw was who I believe was the victim sort of fleeing from the situation, and he was clenching his chest. It was all very quick. At that time, I heard the victim, who I believe is the victim, to say, "Somebody please call me an ambulance," and that made me realize that this is quite serious.
21-year-old Gideon Ngwadema was at home, it's been reported, when he received a call from a friend and went out.
It's really strange being here and seeing this massive shopping centre completely cordoned off and shut because of a stabbing that happened inside. And a lot of the people who work in the field of children impacted by violence have long said that young people are becoming desensitised to it.
No social media could capture the amount of violence that took place in our days. The violence of young people on young people has always been there from even my days. Even my days, going back 50 years when I was a gang member. The difference between my days and now is obvious. No computers, no laptops, no internet. Professional adults have got this kind of myth that we can sort it out when we've never sorted out violence with men in the first place. We've not even dealt with the issue of domestic violence. How are we proposing to deal with the issue of violent youth against violent youth?
2 18-year-olds have been arrested. One on suspicion of murder, the other on suspicion of a fray. The victims' family say they're heartbroken. Ria Chatterjee, ITV News.
A probation officer has denied being solely responsible for giving the convicted terrorist Usman Khan the go-ahead to attend a prisoner education event where he killed 2 university graduates, Jack Merritt and Saskia Jones. Khan's probation officer told the inquest there were no concerns raised by anybody in the management of Usman Khan. He said if he knew he was going to be a threat, he wouldn't have let him go. Now, police in Pakistan are searching for 2 men after a Londoner was murdered. Myra Zulfikar was found dead in the flat where she was staying on Monday. Well, Sam Holder has been following the case. Lots of reports, Sam, about what might have happened to this young woman. What more have you been able to find out?
Well, Geraint, we understand that Myra Zulfikar only travelled to Pakistan 2 months ago for a wedding from Feltham, but that she decided to stay on. Now, police in Lahore, in Pakistan, told us today that they were called by her flatmate out there to say that Myra had been murdered. And when they arrived, they found that she had been shot and strangled. Now, local reports out there for local papers say that Myra had previously warned her uncle that she was being threatened by 2 of her male friends with dire consequences because she turned down their marriage proposals. Now, police didn't confirm that to us, but they say that they're looking for 2 men as their principal suspects. Now, some of the details are still hazy, but what's clear is that Myra was a young woman with a huge amount of potential, with her whole life ahead of her. She was just 24. She was a law graduate. She'd studied at the universities of West London and Middlesex, and she'd recently finished a work placement at the law firm Duncan Blackett, who say that she was an excellent mentee, that she was diligent, and that they extend their deepest sympathies to her family. Now, some of her family were seen today in Hounslow at their local mosque for prayers, while others, we understand, have travelled out to Pakistan to see what happens with the investigation.
OK, Sam Holder, thanks very much. Layton Orient women's football team have just under 2 weeks to decide their future after the club cut ties with them. Orient are establishing a new academy for women and girls and a new team which will play 2 divisions below where the current team competes. Those players say they now have to choose between trying out for the new team or forming a new club. Antoine Allen reports.
It made me immensely proud to represent the club. Coming from the local area, I always grew up understanding Layton Orient and around the team.
To put on the badge and play with such a great group of girls was a brilliant experience, and especially for us, we had a lot of aspirations to climb under the Layton Orient brand and continue representing it.
Lauren and Naomi's pride has been turned to disappointment because their women's team has been told they will no longer be associated with Layton Orient FC after 6 years of representing the club.
But Nye Denny has scored for Layton Orient.
Only weeks ago, Layton Orient chairman Nigel Travis said he was excited for the women's team's FA Cup third round game hosted at Orient Stadium.
2 weeks later to hear we would no longer be able to wear the Layton Orient badge and realise our aspirations for the club in women's football was really shocking and upsetting as well.
Yeah, I agree. It was really hurtful to no longer be able to play under that badge, and we had great aspirations for the team. To also be told that we now have to either rebrand or merge, and we had to make that decision so quickly.
Women's football has grown in popularity and sponsorship, all for the goal of encouraging more young girls to join teams. But Lauren believes there's a need for changes off the pitch. Does this decision represent a wider issue in women's football?
Definitely. For us as players, many of us have experienced situations previously where our women's setup has been impacted or disbanded in many cases as a result of decisions made in a boardroom that's primary task is representing the men's club.
Layton Orient have said they plan to establish their own women's academy and a first team that will compete in the 6th tier of the women's football pyramid. But the former Orient side was already competing in Division 4.
We're at a critical point now as a team. As we're no longer able to play under the Layton Orient badge, we have to decide whether we will merge with another club, an existing team, or someone that doesn't have a women's club, or rebrand as a new identity.
Naomi, Lauren and their now former Layton Orient FC teammates have until the 17th of May to re-register with the FA as a new side. Potentially disconnecting them from the Orient fans they were proud to represent. Anton Allen, ITV News.
Now then, it is a very important evening in a certain corner of West London tonight. Chelsea have a chance to book their place in the Champions League final for only the 3rd time in the club's history. But to get there, they have to get past one of the giants of European football, Real Madrid. Rags Martel is at Stamford Bridge for us this evening. Rags.
Geraint, it's quite incredible. Chelsea are 90 minutes from a Champions League final, the biggest competition in club football, and it's quite a turnaround. Go back just a few months and this club didn't look like it was going to win anything at all. Then quite surprisingly, they sacked their then manager Frank Lampard, and the new man who's come in has got fans thinking they can now win very big trophies once more.
One kick of the ball.
They're almost there again.
By Didier Drogba. Yeah! It's the greatest night in Chelsea's history.
Can you believe Chelsea are 90 minutes away from a place in the Champions League final?
If you'd have said to me at Christmas we'd be here trying to get a place in the final of Manchester City, I would have said that you were crazy.
If you had said to me 3 months ago that Chelsea would be on the cusp of a Champions League final, and I kind of believed that they could do it, I'd have said you were off your head.
It's Christian Pulisic.
No one can quite believe it.
What a start for Chelsea!
A team that sacked its manager just 3 months ago is one game away from the Champions League final.
This looked like a naive young team that had to learn a lot at the beginning of the season. But now, I mean, they're all grown up and they look capable of doing it. So it's going to be great now. It's still a massive, massive push to get from here. It is Real Madrid after all, but will I be surprised if Chelsea go through? No.
So
Chelsea's transformation, the Tuchel touch.
I don't know any other way to prepare a match than to encourage my team to go out and try to win it, to be our best. We want to win games. This club is about winning.
This could have been a regular fixture in the doomed Super League, but this is actually the first time Real Madrid will play at Stamford Bridge in a competitive match. Standing in Chelsea's way, the bullish force of Spanish football royalty. Pedro Jimenez has had this tapas bar in Fulham for 32 years and has never had a visit from his team before.
The Chelsea is very powerful team running with behind the ball, and Real Madrid is control the ball. So it's two different complicated clubs in the way they play football. And my prediction is going to be 1-3. I hope, but if Chelsea won, I don't mind because I like Chelsea as well.
And after the protests outside Stamford Bridge last month, Chelsea's oligarch owner is letting 3 elected fans to join board meetings from next season.
I think it's amazing that he is the first owner to come out and implement that. I think it's embarrassing for other clubs like Manchester United that are meant to be, you know, one of the biggest clubs in England, if not the biggest. I'm happy that he is the first. I'm just disappointed for other fans in football that don't have the same owner as us. Who cares about him?
And if they win tonight, Chelsea fans will feel like they're flying even higher in the sky. Well, whatever happens tonight, Chelsea are in the Champions League final. The women's team have already qualified, of course. But one thing to remember about Real Madrid, they are this competition's perennial overachievers. They played quite badly and somehow win the whole thing. But I'll leave you with one little fact to remember. Real Madrid have never, ever beaten Chelsea.
Good tie choice, Rags. Thanks very much. Now, it's not long now until London's Theatreland will reopen after the long, dark lockdown, and we're going to hear about a show now which is all but guaranteed to bring some glitz and glamour back to the West End. Death Drop, which comes back to the Geraint Theatre in exactly 2 weeks' time, is more than just a comedy. It's being billed as a Dragatha Christie murder mystery, and we can talk now to one of its stars, the one and only siren from South Yorkshire, Myra Dubois. Good evening, Myra.
Hello, love, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And you're joining us from your dressing room?
I am, I'm in my dressing room. Can you not tell from these carefully placed theatrical garments that have been put behind me?
How did I guess?
Isn't that authentic? Isn't that? Yes, well, we are live, aren't we? Because that does affect what vocabulary is available to me.
Yes, I should remind you that we are indeed live. Yes, tell me how rehearsals are going. Are they socially distanced?
Yes, they are socially distanced, yeah. We have to stand a metre away from each other. But quite frankly, this is a cast full of people that have been locked up for 5 months. So personal hygiene isn't what it was. So we're grateful for the space.
And tell me about the show. What part do you play, and are you one of the suspects?
Well, we're all one of the suspects, all of us. That's not a spoiler to say that. But I play the role of the lady. I won't say her full name because it's a bit of a pun. And as we've said, it's live and before 9 o'clock. But obviously you can imagine the sort of filth that might leap off the pages. But I play the lady who is the hostess of the evening on Tuck Island. And she invites everyone to come for an evening of glamour and splendour to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Charles and Diana's marriage. It's a historic piece, a period piece.
I see. Now, look, Myra, bear with me because I just want to remind people who are watching of when they might have first seen you on your famous audition for Britain's Got Talent a year or so ago. Now, let's have a quick...
I don't know if we'd call it an audition, love. I think it was more of a cameo.
It was more of an arrival, wasn't it? More of an arrival.
It was more of an arrival. I was trying to save the Britain's Got Talent brand, but it didn't work because there's no Britain's Got Talent this year. I'm so sad. I should never have sent Simon that bike.
OK, let's have a look.
That keep on falling from your mouth. Tell me why.
Wow, what a din.
I'm not miming, no.
No singing in the show that starts in a couple of weeks' time then, Myra?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've got the opening number, my love. You can't have a voice like mine and keep it to yourself. It would be cruel.
That would be a terrible shame, wouldn't it? Tell me how somebody as glamorous as you has survived lockdown. What have you done?
Well, do you know, I'm lucky, actually. I count my blessings. I don't know if you can tell from this angle, but I've managed to eat and eat and eat what I want over 5 months, and I've not put on an ounce of weight. So I'm an anomaly.
Myra, you are indeed. There's no argument about that. It's a pleasure to speak to you. Thanks ever so much for sparing us the time, Myra Dubois.
You're welcome, my love. You're welcome.
Now, who could forget this iconic advert?
I bet you're wondering how I knew. I just plans to make me blue. But some other...
Sad news today that its star, Nick Kamen, has died at the age of 59. The model and singer from Harlow in Essex was catapulted to fame when he took off his Levi's jeans in a laundrette back in 1985. His friend Boy George has paid tribute, describing the model as the most beautiful and sweetest man. Next, a mother and daughter who've worked in the same doctor's surgery during the pandemic got a surprise today. The comedian and Brit Awards host, Jack Whitehall, personally went to the surgery in Lewisham to invite them to the ceremony next week as a thank you for all that they've done. Martin Stew reports.
Next week, the Brits are back, and so is host Jack Whitehall.
It's me again, folks.
As a COVID test event, 4,000 will be allowed inside, amongst them 2,500 key workers who are getting tickets for free.
I am outside a doctor's surgery in Lewisham.
Which explains why Jack was loitering in a southeast London car park today.
Do you think I should have called ahead and booked an appointment?
He's here to surprise mother and daughter nurses Jackie and Sherry-Ann Lumsden, who have helped vaccinate 15,000 people at this surgery.
Surprise! Jackie, Sherry-Ann, do you know why I'm here?
No.
I have some very exciting news. You two ladies are going to the Brit Awards.
Serious?
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
I was honestly speechless. Didn't even know if it's for me or not. I was like, what? Like, I thought the same as you. I thought the same as
What's
you.
going on?
I thought it was for COVID. Like,
I'm so excited that this year's audience is going to be made up of key workers. I think it's going to make the event that much more special.
Don't pick up the phone, you know he's only calling because he's drunk and alone.
On Tuesday night, they'll get to see the likes of Dua Lipa, Pink and Rag and Bone Man.
Do you know who's performing? No, but I don't care. It's music. Music makes you happy.
this is the first time we're actually going to be able to go out properly for a long while, so it'll be good.
Oh God, that's tequila.
But will they match up to the usual debauched antics of celebs?
He's gone off the rails. No one's been out for a year, so I imagine people will be very ready to let their hair down and have a good time. One word of warning though, coming with your mum. I took my mum to the Brit Awards last year. She got very drunk and threw herself at Stormzy.
So. It's fine, she doesn't drink.
She doesn't drink, you're going to be fine. You're going to be absolutely fine.
Mum and daughter will see Jack again in the flesh on Tuesday night. Their colleagues will have to make do with a socially distanced selfie and to watch him live on the ITV Hub.
You look so depressed.
I think that's because only two of them are going to the Brit.
Martin Stew, ITV News.
Awkward.
The ITV News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. Here is a look at what's happening with Mary.
Coming up on the programme, what's at stake in England, Scotland and Wales in the biggest local elections in half a century. On the final day of campaigning, the Prime Minister and the Labour leader were both rallying for votes in key English seats, while in Scotland it's a vote that could decide the future of the Union. Also ahead, the British woman shot and strangled in Pakistan. Police search for 2 men. And the tale of heroism to rescue a pensioner from the rubble of a gas explosion. Well, do join me for that and more at 6:30.
And Sally's here now with some good news ahead of the weekend. Aren't you? No? Why are you laughing?
Well, we've got a bit of a mix. What we give with one hand and take away with the other. So the air's still coming from the north, right? What's in the north? The Arctic. So that's why things are cold.
Doesn't sound good, no.
No, so still a bit chilly, but not awful the next couple of days. You know, there'll be some nice sunny spells. In fact, Friday's quite nice. Saturday, the air swings round to the southwest eventually. So we get milder air coming in, particularly on Saturday, but we also get a spell of wet and windy weather for a time on Saturday. So you see, it's a bit, but you know, read into it what you like.
Cheered me up for a bit.
Take from it what you like, Geraint. Should we take a look at the full forecast? Here we go.
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Well, there are a few sharp showers out there today. You may have even had a bit of hail, maybe some thunder and lightning. And look at those clouds looking quite energised, maybe even a touch threatening there in Maidenhead. Tomorrow we have got some more spells of sunshine and a few more showers, but maybe not quite as many as today. Still staying quite cool, and we keep that frost risk, I'm afraid, gardeners, for another couple of nights. And here's what's going on the bigger picture. Bit showery, as I mentioned, tomorrow. Friday's not looking too bad at all. And then on Saturday, this is a system that we're keeping an eye on, bringing some wet and windy weather. Worth paying attention to the forecast, especially if you've got any plans. But we do see a recovery on Sunday. So back to tonight, those showers clearing away. That gives us some pretty clear skies out there tonight. So, of course, those temperatures will drop down again. A chilly start to tomorrow, possibly a bit of frost around in some of those rural areas, maybe even some little bits of mist and fog as well. But despite that cold start, it's going to be a nice bright one for many of us as well. There you go, you can see some decent sunshine to start the day. And then, of course, as things warm up, we do see that cloud bubbling up once again and bringing with it a few showers, but perhaps not as many as we saw today. And fairly nice end to the day in many areas. Still cold though, highs of 10 to 12 degrees, really feeling quite chilly under that cloud, particularly, of course, if you get a shower. Now, the evening sees them clear away eventually and another chilly start to Friday. But Friday itself is looking probably the best day of the week so far. Then as we move into Saturday, that's when things go a little bit downhill. We see that wet and windy weather, unless, of course, you're after a fair bit of rain. You might well see it on Saturday. Keep an eye on the forecast. Things look better for Sunday, a bit brighter and a bit warmer as well. That's your full forecast for now.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
In South, still a few months to go, but we're going to talk Olympics now, aren't we?
Yes, we are. How would you fancy spending 80 days on a bike?
I mean, it doesn't sound... I'm not mad keen. No.
No, me neither. Well, I met a guy today who's about to do that. At the Olympics this year, we can't have international spectators. So this guy is going to go across the country on a quest and gather some cheer for our athletes heading to Tokyo. So I went to meet him and his well-packed bicycle today.
In an Olympic setting, an Olympics lover who's about to take on an Olympic-sized challenge.
Can you pick this up with one hand, did you say?
Jamie Ramsey is an endurance adventurer.
Oh, for goodness sake.
For the next 80 days, he'll be based on this supposedly light bike.
Can I try and lift it up with one hand?
As he cycles 10,000 kilometres across the UK.
It's not going to happen, is it? There's absolutely no way a normal person can lift that up with one hand. Ah! Right, let's try two hands. Ah! He's not normal. You're not normal.
Jamie has done some epic feats from Australia to America and beyond. This latest challenge is a bit different, and it's all for the athletes competing in the Tokyo Olympics, who this year are without fans.
We're going to be going around the UK. I'm going to be filming people kind of giving their cheer for Team GB. We're going to be creating like a Mexican wave, and if we can make London and the UK heard in Tokyo, that would be a really cool thing to be part of.
Olympic rowing star Helen Glover is hoping to be one of those benefiting.
Yes, it's going to be quite different from London, isn't it, where you had the entirety of London and the country behind you.
Totally. It couldn't be more different from feeling like I knew every single person in the stand in London in Dorney Lake to the stands being quiet and empty in Tokyo. And I feel like this is going to bring a bit of that London spirit with us.
Jamie, talk me through your bike, your house.
Yeah, this is my home for the next 80 days. I've got a kitchen here, I've got electronic equipment on the front, this is my tent.
I love the fact you've got flip-flops, they don't feel like an essential.
No, you need flip-flops. I'm going to go swimming, I need flip-flops in the evening.
He's starting at the Olympic Park and finishing not in Tokyo, but
Stokio, which is also known as Stoke-on-Trent.
See what he did there? It's Olympians who've inspired Jamie. Now he's hoping to return the favour. A little bit of London spirit could go a long way. Sally Williams, ITV News, Stratford.
Good luck to him. We are back with the latest after ITV News at 10. Mary is coming up with the ITV Evening News, but from me and the rest of the London team, bye-bye.